Get started in just a second here. Welcome to our special Scotch Malt Whisky Society 1.9.8.3 tasting that we're doing to celebrate a group of bottlings that were done for the 40th anniversary of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Scotch Malt Whisky Society was founded in 1983. So we have 5 bottles that are kind of involved in this anniversary here. Hopefully you guys have your lineup in front of you. If you don't have it organized yet, the tasting order was in the link. But we're starting with 19.8.3, which is called Fortification from Vienna to Athens. Next up is 1.2.8.3, Happy in a Hippie Shop. Third is 9.2.7.4, Toffee Apple Orchard. 4 is 8.4.3, Shaded by Flowers. 5 is 3.348, Mellifluous QUINCE. So those 5 bottlings all have to do with the 40th anniversary of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. The 1.9.8.3 in that lineup were very, very limited and only sold as a 4-pack. So they didn't get put on shelves anywhere. We kept one of the 4-packs back, or 2 of the 4-packs back, and sacrificed them for this virtual tasting and the live in-store tasting we did last Wednesday. 19.8.3 is very, very limited. We only have 2 bottles of it to sell. And that will be done via lottery, which we'll talk about maybe on the second round of the tasting here. At the tail end of the tasting are some bonus bottles that we tossed in just to make it a fuller tasting. We have 66.240 called Nuts and Belts and Engine Oil. That was poured, it was at a dinner at the Victoria Whiskey Festival, if I recall correctly. Fantastic little dram. I think you guys will enjoy it. And then a massively high alcohol 66.6%er from 4.320 Viking Moderate Gale Force 8. A very, very cool and potent Highland Park. And we will be finishing off, which was what was supposed to be here for the October Outturn, a Halloween bottle, 53.485, which is Supernaturally Sweet Smoke. So an 8-dram lineup for us tonight. A little bit different because we are not doing this blind. You guys have all the information in front of you, including the pricing, I think, if you have that PDF, if I remember correctly. And we're just going to talk about the drams as we usually do. We will do 2 rounds just because that's always fun to do sort of a lightning round and run through again just to see how everything's going. But yeah, let's dive in with 19. Or sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Quick heads up. Facebook is only letting me live stream to a page we tried to delete, but they won't let us, as opposed to, so there will be no live streaming tonight. There will be later streaming, I suppose. So thank you, Zuckerberg.
Sounds good. Well, so let's start on this really cool lineup. If you have the PDF file in front of you from the email, we are starting now on Fortification from Vienna to Athens. This is cask number 19.8.3. It was bottled for the 40th anniversary of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society as a sort of a standalone thing. This isn't part of the 4-bottle pack that I mentioned. 19.8.3 is from the Highlands, first fill ex-bourbon barrel, 19 years old, from the 17th of February 2003, and 52.3% alcohol. So this is Glengarry Distillery. We had some other 19s about 1.5 years ago, if I remember correctly, all in that 18-year range that were fantastic. And I think this one is really, really good as well. How's the nose, everybody?
Opening bottles.
Nice.
I'm a little late to the game on this one. Oh, and Evan, I think we bought, do you do the mute all on this, or do you allow every?
Yeah, typically.
Okay. We'll just do that. Not that we don't like hearing from everybody, but there's already 4 people or 5 people here to share thoughts via audio. So Kelly, Rob, Harmony, Evan, you might have to unmute yourselves. You all should have the power to do so. Anyway, it's quite nutty.
Yeah. Nutty. It's got this nice little bit of a grape note for me, a little bit of Welch's grape juice in there.
For me, it's got like oil on toast.
Nice. Yeah, nuttiness wise, going into like shelling pistachios as well on the nose for me.
Mhm.
I really get the sweetness of it, the icing sugar. And I
Yeah.
think I can't remember if this was the one, but I think so. In the in-store tasting where we were talking about the white powder that's on that bubble gum.
Oh,
What did we
Hubba
land?
Bubba.
Hubba Bubba or
Hubba Bubba.
Yeah.
where you take the wrapper off and there was the joke inside and
Yeah.
there was that white dusting of powder?
Bazooka Joe is
Bazooka
the
Joe.
guy
Oh,
in
that.
the joke
Right.
strip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Bazooka Joe was that was a more expensive one
yeah, there was
between
the
that
Bud.
and Double Bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the Double Bubble just had the black and white strips, well, blue ink, but then they had two color strips on the Bazooka Joe, if I remember correctly, and they also
Probably
had
Canadian and
just
American.
that's right. It
That
was
you know this, Evan, is brilliant.
yeah. This is the stuff I remember. Like, don't ask me my kids' names right now, but they also had grape flavor and regular bubblegum flavor for the Bazooka Joe, if I remember correctly.
Well,
The
At any rate,
palate.
it's as stunning as I remember it this
every
morning.
day's a school day.
Yep, that's right.
It's just
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, really structured. Bit of creaminess in there as well, but nice fruit notes coming through with that. Just kind of settles in on the palate too in a nice way.
Oh, yeah, distillate driven. I mean, it's quite pale, which I love. Natural color, no faffing about, as Angus might say, and it's starting to get some of those nice estery tropical tones coming out as well, which is my jam. Well,
I agree. That tropical finish just brings everything from the nose together. There's like hints of it in there, but it really shows on the finish. It's really beautiful.
And I'm adding a few drops of water this time just to see what it does.
I get a sweet earthiness too.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like that might be sort of the Greek food references, the
Maybe,
olives,
Maybe, yeah.
pita bread. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's more going on there than just the sweetness.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the rum reference. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the olives. It does go into a slight bit of a drier sheet, sort of fresh laundry note on the nose, like going into like a slight ozone note with water too. Stays nutty though.
well, I'm not adding
It's
water because I think it's
yeah.
great. I don't
Yeah.
want to make it less great.
It holds together really nicely. I'm not saying you have to though. It does work on its own. Gets a slightly creamier and a little bit more nutty on the finish with water.
Mm.
Okay, well, let's carry on to and start with the first one in the 1.9.8.3 4-pack here, which is glasses 2 to 5 in our lineup tonight. So this is 1.283 Happy in a Hippie Shop. And apologies, I can't get my my PDF file up here. Otherwise, I'd share the info on this.
I can look into that now that I'm no longer monitoring Facebook. You give me a moment.
Thanks, man. So this guy is a Glenfarclas, which is probably the perfect one to start with. Of course, it'd be distillery number 1 from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. It's the first distillery that was ever bottled by the SMWS back in 1983. And this is the 283rd cask of Glenfarclas that they bottled.
Wow.
There you go. Are you looking for the details here, Evan?
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
old,
So Yep.
finished in a first fill. Are we sharing all this? We're sharing all this?
Yep.
Open book.
Yep.
First fill Conseca wine barrique.
Conseca.
60.3%.
Yeah, so we talked a bit about, I think this is the second Conseca wine barrique that we've seen from distillery number 1 from the SMWS. Kelly actually had to contact SMWS on it, headquarters, just to get a bit more information on it. And even that didn't sort of like peel away the onion too much from what I recall.
Yeah, I emailed HQ in December of 2022 and I said, we're releasing 1.262, a commune of delights, in January 23, and we're wondering about the Conseca wine barrique. I'm not a wine person. If anybody in the audience is a wine person, by all means chime in. I said, is it a style of wine? Is it a producer? Is it a type of barrel, an oak? What's the deal? And the head of the whiskey team came back to me and said, the word means harvest, and it's not strictly a type of wine. The cask, in that case, the cask came from a small winery, Jimenez Spinola, and they call a specific wine Conseca. In this case, that's what's within the cask. So it's still a bit gray. And then I dug a little bit more into a link that he sent me, and we determined that the grape is 100% Pedro Jimenez, PX. You see that all the time with our sherry butts, our sherry whiskeys. But in this case, the wine is not a sherry. So clear as mud, I'm sure.
Yeah, so a lot of people won't have had, well, many people won't have had PX or Pedro Jimenez sherry at this point in era, I guess. A lot of people won't have had a dry, which I'm assuming this was just a dry PX wine, and I could be wrong at that, who knows. But dry PX wine, the only one we have, I think, is from Mayu, a winery that comes to us from Chile. And the one we have is very citrus driven, very crisp, good amount of acidity to it as well. Almost comes off as a sort of a lighter version of a Sauvignon Blanc in some manner. But this one does have this nice sort of like ripe lemon note to it right off the hop for me that I really enjoy.
Well, and it very much has the Bazooka Joe, or double bubblegum note on both the nose and palate.
Mhm.
Harmony, was this the one where you had the bubble tape note?
No, but it is there.
What's bubble tape?
I'm gonna buy it for Kelly. It's bubble gum that comes in a thin, long strip that looks like a measuring tape, and it's like a pink browned case that kind of looks like that Macallan Space Mesh bottle.
Yeah,
But
it's where Macallan got their idea from, I think.
I think so. Yeah, they ripped it off with bubble tape.
So bubble tape was probably, I'm not sure which one came first timeline wise, but I'm guessing Fruit by the Foot was either based on the concept of bubble tape but trying to make it look slightly healthier, or bubble tape was based on Fruit by the Foot and trying to make it something kids would actually enjoy.
So
I feel like bubble tape came before the fruit.
I think you're right.
So by that logic, Big League Chew came before or after chewing
Oh,
tobacco?
way before.
Before, way before.
They did not have the technology for bubble tape back at that time.
Yeah. I feel like bubble tape might have been Big Chew gone wrong,
Yeah.
and they just had to do
Well,
something.
Big League Chew was totally based on trying to get kids into chewing tobacco.
As one does.
You want to
Yes.
start them young. Like,
They're a very
you
good
want-
target
you want to build
audience.
that affinity at a ripe young age.
Big League Chew is a gateway that leads to Popeye's candied cigarettes. Like it's been proven.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
I went
never-
down that path.
Yeah, me too.
Meanwhile, the whiskey is beautiful.
And then I
we're
grew up
drinking
and
whiskey.
started drinking whiskey.
So next we need to have a bubblegum tasting, or a whiskey and gum tasting or something.
Yeah, that's a good pairing.
That would be so gross. People just chewing and smacking and like taking out their big gum, putting in the next one.
I think for me, what I like to steer things back, and far be it for me to take us out of a rabbit hole rather than into one, is this doesn't come across as like a wine cask, because I
Right.
kind of struggle, as many know, with wine casks. I think a lot of them are just too, it's not well integrated, but this is integrated nicely. It just comes across as like a little bit extra spicy, and maybe that's French or European oak being used for it. There's a little bit of tannins there. There's a little bit of leather, but it's not, just overtly winey, which I really, really don't like.
Andrew,
I'm with you, Andrew. Yeah.
Does this still have like Glenfarclas DNA for you?
I mean, sure, but you could say the same, like, does heavily sherried Glenfarclas have Glenfarclas DNA? I mean, sometimes
Very true.
that's hard to peel out. I mean, it's a heavy, oily spirit, one of the few distilleries that still direct fires. So, you've got kind of a richer body there that I think holds up quite well to cask. But I mean, again, the color on this is quite pale. Like, I think the oak interaction on this is fairly mild. And I don't know. I mean, I can only imagine that this might have been a rather, I don't want to say it, but like a rather unexciting bourbon cask before they did this, because, it's not like a really blatant finish. So
No, not at all. Yeah, I kind of like what it does. I really like those citrus notes. It's got almost like a spicy pineapple thing going on in there for me on the palate as well. Pretty tasty stuff. I'm gonna be crazy and add a bit of water to
circle
it.
back, I'd say it does come across Glenfarclas-esque. It does remind me a little bit of like the 12-year-old, but just concentrated and a little richer.
Yeah, I could see that. Notes of maybe the Glenfarclas 8-year-old if it was at a higher strength. Actually, it tastes the water pretty well. Pretty much soaks it up like a sponge. Doesn't change too much. A little bit more sort of dry notes and nuttiness with a bit of spice on the palate, but beyond that, just holds together really, really nicely.
I'll try sciencing mine. See if you're right.
Chat Jeff GBT has told us that Bubble Tape was released in 1988. Fruit by the Foot was 1991.
Fortune.
Well, Adam, you started a conspiracy theory that turned out to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Delightful. Yes,
I think water kind of kills the nose, but the palate's nice with it. It's I think it tones the spice back a little bit. It's more crushable with a drop of water in there.
Yep. Yeah, really cool dram. On to number 3 in the lineup, the 9. This is cask number 9.274 Toffee Apple Orchard. This is 19 years old, from Glen Grant Distillery. First fill ex-bourbon barrel, 11th of September 2003. And that date, if you guys have a really good memory and remember the February Outturn, there was another Glen Grant with that distillation date there. In that lineup, 180 bottles for this guy, 52.8% alcohol.
It's very floral.
Perfumed.
Yeah, but you still get like those nice apple notes underneath. It doesn't stay floral and feel soapy. It just
Nice,
like you're in an orchard.
Yeah, nice berry fruits too on the nose.
Mhm.
Little jam.
There's a little bit of icing sugar on this and like a chalkiness on the nose for me as well.
Yeah,
Or apple pie for me.
Not just
Nice.
a raw apple.
Not just an orchard, it's an apple pie. I mean, there is apple, but yeah, it's more, yeah. Doughy? I don't know.
Really
So,
nice on the palate. Creamy.
So this is a sister cask of something that you can actually purchase if you're interested, which was from February. It was called Scotch Malt Whisky Society's 9.2.8.8 Overpowering Enchantment, which was also just a little on the 11th of September 2003. and is also 19 years old. That was a fantastic dram as well.
Mhm.
Some notes in this one, from what I remember, this one's just a touch earthier, but I'm gonna see if that's still showing like that.
Mhm.
Mm. This is
Yeah,
a
there's, sorry, Rob?
No, I was just going to say this is a tragic tasting because these are all so lovely and four of them aren't available.
That's right.
Oh, oh well.
Yeah, there's this dunnage note that goes pretty heavy on the palate on this one. Like going into like random vegetable clippings that are going to be hitting your compost, but also some mushroomy notes.
Mhm.
That's a cool note.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not untrue either. There's also this like kind of like damp kind of, I don't know, oils and menthol, and everything is just kind of bogged down in a really nice way.
There's a
Yeah,
nice little, like a nice little funk to it too.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I mean. It's like, yeah, I guess that's where you're talking about like earthy compost funk.
For me though, it's going more a little bit towards like hard cheese.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I think in the in-store tasting, Evan found mushrooms on this, if I recall correctly.
big time. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's delightful.
with a few drops of water, there's even a touch of modeling clay now on the earthiness side of things on
I
the nose.
I suspect Noel would have said plasticine for this one, but that's just me.
I was trying to go classy.
There's tons of stone fruit on this,
Yeah.
which is really nice.
Tastes like there's not enough in my glass.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a pretty cool dram.
I like the dry finish. That nice oaky finish is very nice.
Mhm.
And Harmony still with that menthol sinus clearing eucalyptus thing going on.
Yeah.
Comes up the back of my sinuses afterwards. It's great.
Yeah, it does. It's practically medicine. At that
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Get a prescription for this.
If
Yeah.
only.
Sign up as a member. There you go.
That's right.
Get a prescription for everything.
Dr. Kelly, write a prescription.
Yeah.
Uh, wow. I moved on to the nose on the next one. That's pretty
Yeah, I
cool.
just did that too. So
Did you
Yeah.
do that?
I think that's
Yeah,
I
let's
think
dive
that's
into
a
that.
cue.
Yeah. Yeah, this next one's pretty cool too. Number 4 is called Shaded by Flowers. Cast number is 8.43. This is unofficially the first Tamdu that we've gotten from the SMWS here in Canada. This is from a first fill PX butt for its entire 7 years of maturation. Distilled on the 16th of November 2015, 649 bottles from that PX butt and 61.4% alcohol.
It's got like a slow cooked bison short rib thing going on the nose.
Yeah, it's coming off as meaty, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's not that sulfury meaty. It's more of like a sweet, like slightly fruity, but yeah, it's definitely beefy to me. And shocking that like it's not a little more sharp or rough at 61.4% in 7 years.
A little bit like of a chutney note on the nose for me right now, and some big peach notes on there too. Maybe into apricots and some dried apricot notes too.
On the nose for me, it's like, if you had a Tootsie Roll in the wrapper in your pocket for a really long time and it starts to like soften up, but it's also Christmas. So you've had that Tootsie Roll for a little while and there's like that pot of the Christmas spices like in the room. That's my first impression on this.
Nice.
Did
I
the
thought you
Tootsie
meant like
Roll-
it.
go through a
Sorry, go
wash
ahead.
cycle?
You
Yeah,
might have gone through a wash cycle. Yeah,
it's
so
been
we
there
can
since
smell it.
Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, but yeah, it's funny.
Touch of pocket lint in there.
Yeah,
There's a maple syrup note in there as well for me.
Bubble.
mhm.
Sorry, what was that, Kelly?
Oh, just on the topic of Tamdu, I always love when these kinds of numbers pop up, cast number 8.43. So the
Yeah.
society now having been around for 42, 43 years, this was distillery number 8 that came into the portfolio. So really, really,
Yeah.
really early on. And in those 4 decades, there have only been, at this point, 43 casks bottled by it. And
Yep.
when the society released this one, it was the first time since 2006 that the society had bottled a Tamdu. So a rare beast indeed. I'm pleased to say that we've got 2 coming in the next few months. The first one will be, I'll tip my hat a bit. I know we always do our Outturn tastings blind, but in April, no one's going to remember this by April.
What?
In April, there will be a Tamdu. I'm not going to give anything away about the flavor profile or the barrel or anything like that. But yeah, so we're going to start to see Tamdus and some other distilleries that we've not seen in Canada before. So yeah.
So if you're at the in-person tasting and Evan asks you distillery, just shout Tamdu.
You'll be right
Yeah.
1 out of 7
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
good tip. Mm.
Yeah, this is a cool dram. This is my level of PX, I think, where there's still some dryness and some spice. It's not just full on cloyingly sweet.
Yeah,
Not at all.
and it's not over chocolatey either, which can happen too.
Yeah.
I don't think
More
that's
honeyed.
possible.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean like bitter chocolate, which maybe I don't always want. But you're right, chocolate's always okay.
Nothing can be over chocolatey.
Over bitter though, yes.
Yeah, Jeff says Tamdu is very underrated. Totally agree.
Just
I
me.
think it's starting to get its dues, official bottling wise, but it's definitely playing catch up versus some other distilleries that are more well known that maybe aren't as deserved of the recognition when it comes to sherry.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
Have you
got
guys
that.
tried this with water?
I did. It still feels like big and meaty, like you want
Nice.
from Tamdu. I think Phil was the one who really pushed me into Tamdu all the years ago when I met him. He was really enjoying that sherry profile and encouraged me to just start trying the batches, and they were fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, those batch drinks are great. I don't think I could blind this one just because I haven't had there's never been a lot of indie Tamdu out there. My guess is that what's the name of the company that owns it, that owns Glengoyne and
Ian
Rosebank as
McLeod.
well? Yeah. Ian McLeod probably did not sell a lot of Tamdu over the last decade or so.
No, but
Or maybe they stipulated
Well,
that it couldn't be named.
I mean, I think like a lot of the big players, that's going to change to
Mhm.
varying degrees. I mean, you know, they were in the store recently wanting to talk about how things were going, etc. And yeah, I mean, the market's in a different place than it was. To your point though about I don't know that if this was any single malt, you could identify the distillery unless maybe it was Bowmore. Because it's a dumpy sherry whiskey. It's
Yeah.
Speyside Island profile. I think it would be very hard to pick this out. I'd be
Yeah,
shocked if anyone picked this out.
My guess would have been the cleanest Tobermory in sherry ever. But
There is yet to be a Tobermory this clean in sherry.
What I like is just how complete this feels at such a young age. Like it's just
Oh.
it's just nice.
that does just fine with water too. Nice bit of a chamomile tea note coming through on the palate, with a few drops for me. That honey note sticks around.
There's a little bit of tomato soup in here as well.
Nice.
I'm surprised Andrew didn't pick that up.
Yeah, just
It's a
slight
milky
whiffs
soup.
of a really expensive Andy Warhol painting in there.
I'm already on Isla, so sorry.
Skipping ahead.
He caught the early ferry.
Okay. Yeah, let's get on to Andrew's Isla time right now. Let's go on to 3.348. So 300 more casks, 305 more casks of Bowmore that the society has bottled versus Tamdu at this point. Cask number 3.348 from Isla, of course, from Bowmore Distillery. Started its life in a second fill ex-bourbon hogshead, actually a full maturation, pardon me, in a second fill ex-bourbon hogshead. 18 years old, 16th of February 2004, 253 bottles, 60. Oh, sorry, I still have the old. It's 55.9% alcohol, I believe.
56.
56.9.
56. Thanks. Right, those numbers were reversed. I'm going off the pamphlet from the live tasting. So
My dyslexic pamphlet.
yeah.
This is awesome. It's creamy. It's got a nice, like, faint salty tone, really clean smoke. A little bit of lavender in there as well too, and like bright citrus, verging into like faintly tropical tones.
Yeah, it's got a bit of pineapple and mango coming through there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. It's very nice.
Oh, that's superb.
So this guy, although it's not available, this also has a sister cask that was in the February Outturn, which is called the Finesse of a Fragrant Furnace. It is a small batch bottling that was done for the 2023 Feshiel or Isla Whiskey Festival, also distilled on the 16th of February 2004.
But also lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, different than this. Yeah. This is just floral smoke.
Yeah, the Fragrant Furnace has more tropical notes coming through, if I remember correctly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
so floral, even on the palate, but some nice fruit notes to back it up. Great saltiness, as Andrew said, and just this minerality to it, this chalky sort of peat smoke that comes through as well.
Well, it's waxy as well, is another element
Mhm.
to it. I mean, I'll be honest, this is my favorite style of Bowmore. I think Bowmore is best in ex-bourbon.
Mhm.
And especially like refill after a long period of time. Because the spirit is so full of character on its own. I think it's, even though the lavender notes are not quite as big as they used to be, I think it's still probably the most easily identifiable single malt.
Absolutely.
And I know some people detest that element to it, but for me, as long as it's not the only show in town, I really adore that little note in there.
Mhm. Yeah, still has some crispy, like really light malt notes in there as well.
Mhm.
I wasn't blown away by this at the in-store tasting, but tonight is just phenomenal. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Everybody in the room voted for this as their favorite at the end of the night, and you and I didn't. We voted for something else.
We
but-
voted for something
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
exactly.
That was, well, it was, everybody else was wrong.
Well, definitely.
Well, yeah.
Because
No,
the one we
that's a
picked was
given,
the correct
but
one.
Still,
Yeah.
yeah.
I suspect I know the one that you guys picked, but I also
Mhm.
suspect you're probably wrong. So the room is correct.
Yeah. So let's crush Andrew's heart now and move from Bowmore to an Ardmore.
Which at least now is owned by the same company.
That's
So
right.
one of the few distilleries in Scotland I have yet to visit, despite great efforts. Although I've been assured next time I go, I will get a tour for sure. And the criteria I gave them was very simple. Like literally the janitor can show me around. I don't want any spiel. I just want to walk through it and take some photos and I'll leave. But I'm looking forward to it because, I mean, this is cool, but like there's something kind of wild and untamed about every Ardmore. It's like a range of mezcals from a particular distillery, and you never know what shade of it you're going to get.
That's right.
A bit like me,
So this
Andrew.
bottle, yeah, that's right. This bottle is available. We're hitting the stuff that is actually available for purchase now. SMWS 66.240 nuts and belts and engine oil. This is a 25-year-old Ardmore distilled on the 23rd of October 1997. 53.1% alcohol from a refill ex-bourbon hogshead. This is like about as opposite an Ardmore to the GNM single cask Ardmore at 25 years as you can get.
I was just thinking that on just nosing it. I'm like, this is not a KWM Ardmore.
There's some interesting similarities though, and I mean they're both 25 years old. They've both got some of those like signature Ardmore notes to it, but they're also both quite fruity. The difference is clearly the sherry. And I know, I'm not one for holding my opinions back, but I feel Ardmore needs one of two things. It needs time or sherry or both. And it needs active sherry because young Ardmore to me is just, it's like wild in a way that I often don't want. It's just, it's unruly, it's annoying. But I think it does well with sherry, and that's why Gordon MacPhail, I think, has bottled some gorgeous Ardmores because they put it into such good sherry. But I like this because it's been tamed. It's had time to settle down some of the rougher edges. Yeah.
Well,
All about
just
nuts.
as a slight non sequitur on this one while we're nosing and tasting it. I showed the guys at KWM this, and Andrew, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but I think you could almost claim that Canadian Club whiskey is made at Ardmore Distillery.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So this is the Canadian Club website, Canadianclub.com. If you go down to our process after going through the age gap or the age verification thing there, and go down to since 1858, that's the picture that they show for Canadian Club. And I could be wrong, but from what I can Google, that seems to be actually Ardmore, a picture of Ardmore Distillery stills there.
So are you
owned by
saying
the
that
same
they're
company?
putting Ardmore into Canadian Club, Evan?
I'm saying that whoever did their website is being very liberal with their choice in stills for what they're trying to show that Canadian Club is made in.
Well, I mean, Evan, can you put that up for a brief second again?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, take it down. This is what I found when I searched still room at Ardmore. So I think you might be onto something here. He was trying to sell me something. So yeah. I mean, in their defense, it is the same company.
Yeah. It's only separated by one ocean.
Yeah.
Where it's made.
So. But I mean, they've been putting Scotch, Irish, Canadian, and American into Japanese whiskey for decades. So
true.
New conspiracy theory. Here we go.
That's right.
I do want to put this up against another Ardmore mentioned previously, but I won't because it's not part of this range. But then, I mean, this is a great bottling. I think this is that old bottle, not like this is full term maturation, not finished. Evan, can you confirm full term?
Yeah, full term.
It is full term maturation.
I mean this is a really cool Ardmore. I like this. I don't want to say I love it because again, Ardmore is so hit and miss for me, but it's a really good Ardmore. There's a lot of really dreadful Ardmores out there.
You may never come out of your Ardmore tour, Andrew.
That's right.
I'll just be part of the flavor profile moving forward at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just
You'll go
just
there
a
with,
note.
yeah, go ahead, Kelly, sorry.
I was just going to say, just a note on this one and the next one. They won't show up in regular monthly outturns. From time to time, Rob and I order things in from HQ in very small quantities, anywhere from 1 case to 2 to 3 to 4 cases, a case being a 6-pack, with the intention of just setting them aside and using them for various things. It could be a festival, any of the festivals at KWM, or it could be the Victoria Whiskey Festival, or it could be some other special events. So this one and the Highland Park that's coming next fall into that category. We got only a handful of cases of them. They won't be released as part of a wider outturn, so they are only available through KWM for as long as they last. So in terms of the Ardmore, I think there are 24 bottles left. I mean, that was what we started with. I don't know how many sold after the first tasting or where that stands, but we only brought in 24. The Highland Park that's coming next, we only brought in 18 bottles. So you won't see these beyond this kind of event. So that happens from time to time, and it's kind of fun for us to do. And we love to have the opportunities to share these real rarities at tastings like this.
This is a really cool dram. Yeah, this is my kind of style.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I really like it. It's got nice, sweet grain distillate notes to it. It's got nice oils, floral notes, and then it goes into like this kind of salty smoked fish and meatiness. It's just really, really nice and just very subtle. It's not in your face. And just like finishes kind of on the sweeter side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
these
good.
soft like white wine notes for me on the palate as well, like where the fruitiness comes in. Kind of reminding me of like an Alvarinho stylistically right now.
And as a big plus, it doesn't have that like dirty horse stable note that a lot of Ardmores have. So
No, we're smoke fish
Yeah.
and meat, no stable. Yeah, I really like this. I like the oils on it. It's very nice.
Yeah, water doesn't hurt this one from what I recall too. Not that it needs it.
No, nice soft smoke too. Yeah.
but just go back a dram for a moment, and it's not even in the same, it's not the same league. It's they're in different divisions.
Yeah, yeah, it is
top tier,
very
maybe
different
third
from
tier.
that. It's very different from that Tamdu. You're right.
This is my division. Wild and untamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since you said Highland Park, I've been waiting for this
I know.
next one.
I know.
Yeah, let's go
It's
there.
so fab.
Oh, let's go to the monster. Number 7 in our lineup is called Viking Moderate Gale Force 8. Cast number 4.320 from a Highland Island. It is from the Orkneys. It is Highland Park. Like a few different Highland Parks that we've seen from the SMWS recently, or over the last, say, 2.5 years or so. This started its life in ex-bourbon hogsheads, and its final cask was a first fill ex-bourbon barrel. 9 years old, from the 24th January 2012, 249 bottles, 66.6% alcohol. The name of the beast, or the number of the beast there for the ABV level.
And do we know if this is like 100% peated as opposed to the usual shenanigans where they like have their peated and their unpeated and then they blend them?
We don't know that level of detail.
Okay.
I was distracted by the fact that the ABV is the same number as your membership card.
It's a fine number, especially if you're a reformed Anglican such as myself.
That's right.
I think a recovering Anglican, Andrew.
That's right. No, only Catholics recover. Ex-Catholics recover, not Anglicans.
Yeah, there's nothing to recover from. It's just, there was no guilt before and there's less guilt now. So
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Mm,
Mm.
It's big on the palate, but it is stupidly drinkable for that level.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
it's so clean and
it is really juicy, like
very
very
juicy.
juicy, loads of fruit, honey, clean smoke. I mean, I think this is their kind of their standard profile, but I think
Mhm.
and Rob and Kelly may know something about this, and if they do, they probably can't say anything. But this is like a lot of the stuff that we see from Signatory that comes from either Highland Park or Macallan, where it's been vatted, they sell it in a large parcel, and then it gets put back into wood and gets further matured, and then eventually bottled as a single cask. But largely because they can't sell enough of it because they overprice their product out of the market. So that's what I think this is. I mean, and it's a shame that they've done such dreadful things with their own distillate, especially in sherry cask, because this is so much better
Yeah.
than most of the very average, mediocre stuff they put out.
Yeah, the nose for me is like you have a piece of like Melba cracker, Melba toast, and then you've got maybe just a touch of cream cheese, but then it's jalapeno and lime, and then maybe a bit of honey drizzled on top of that just to sweeten everything up.
How on
But it's
earth is
so
this 66.6? It is
I
not
know.
anywhere near that rough or sharp.
How is it this juicy after seeing two casks in that short period of time?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's just going back to the fact that this was a vatted batch that the society acquired and then has put into casks. So they had to put it into something. Like I don't think this is something that necessarily needed finishing. It's just they got it, they bought it in bulk and had to put it into their own casks. And that's excellent. I love that it wasn't put into sherry or wine, that it went back into bourbon, because
Yeah.
it allows the spirit character to come through. And I would love to see more stuff like this.
Yeah,
Mm,
price on this is 152 or 150. And it's like that's a great price for this in my opinion too.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Wow. Awesome. I had been texting my friend because I told him he should buy a kit for this and he didn't. And I'm like, you suck. You totally missed out.
Yeah.
These are all
This could
up
be you
your
right now.
alley. Yeah. Yeah. Like, you would
Yeah.
love this. This is great.
Chris Walker is taking a bold stance against Andrew and saying that the Highland Park is far better than the Bowmore, is what I'm
He's
reading there.
welcome to be wrong. I mean, we live in that country.
He's
Yeah, but if you hurt his feelings, you can go to jail. So
Yeah.
hate speech, Andrew.
yeah.
Okay, last but not least in our HRAM lineup, up next is SMWS 53.4.8.5 Supernaturally Sweet Smoke, the 485th cask of Kalila bottled by the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. This was the second S in the SMWS series that they did over the fall and winter season there. It's the first S, pardon me. It was originally meant to be bottled or come here and be here in time for Halloween, for the October Outturn, but didn't make it in time. So it never actually saw a Outturn proper. So that's why we tossed it in on this one here, even though it's been on shelves for a couple months now.
There can't be many left at this stage. A week ago, there was only 8 left.
No, I think we might be down to 7 bottles total with what is maybe to come from Connect. I'll have to verify that. So started its life in ex-bourbon hogshead. Final cast was a first fill Oloroso hogshead, 13 years old, from the 27th of April, 2011, 56.3% alcohol, 10.3% less than that Highland Park.
I mean, I find the nose a little closed, and I think it's because of that sherry, but the palate has some nice layers to it. And again, this is a good this is well this is a good job of finishing. It's not kind of dumpy and over the top.
That's beautiful. That is, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, it goes into
Just
the
so
barbecue
balanced.
notes. Yeah, but it does, I agree, Rob. This is incredibly balanced for seeing that first fill Oloroso cask.
It's like Crystal's like bacon dipped in chocolate makes for us.
I was thinking
It
more,
is.
wet leaves that are burning wet leaves or
Smoldering?
something, smoldering wet leaves. It's-
I'll take
It does have
I'll take the
a-
bacon dipped in chocolate personally, but
Well, if,
It's okay to be wrong.
if you're a
It's
carnivore,
quite-
fine.
it's
but-
quite. I mean, the peat is interesting because it's quite ashy. I don't know. This maybe to me is not like a stereotypical Kalila, other than maybe that bacon, like that fatty bacon note coming out.
Mhm.
Like the peat,
Yeah, I think this
it's
was
not, and maybe it's the sherry. It's not the smoke really coming through that I'm expecting because it's manifesting a little differently. It's quite an ashy, dry peat.
I think this was the one where I said it's got a bit like a petrichor note to it, like
Yep.
rain on asphalt, but also like there's someone on the block where that's having their roof tarred right now, and they're just getting whiffs of that as well.
Yeah.
I had something else
Yeah.
for a moment, but then I was looking at this nonsense that Chris posted and got distracted. Oh, it's
Chris
like
will do
it's
that.
cigar ash. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the ash profile. It's like burnt. So maybe Rob, I'll compromise with you. That's your wet leaf litter, but it's been like burned. It's been singed. It's ashy now.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
That's nice.
Well, we had to find 7 other jams to put with it, but we finally sort of built an outturn around this bottle.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah,
All leading to this.
Thank God for the 1983 set.
that's right.
Absolutely. It finally came
Well-
in handy.
We don't have an official vote or a poll set up for this tasting, but if since we can't purchase any of the 1.9.8.3 series, if you guys want to write in on your favorites as we're going through the second round here, just for kicks, go for it. Let's go back to the start and see how 19.8.3 is holding up.
Smells great.
There's a high proportion of Suntory products, curiously, in this range tonight.
Yeah, that's true.
Smells like freezy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
a-
like a blue one.
Yeah, blue.
Whatever that's supposed to be. Like it's got this kind of like artificial fruit note to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Back to cinnamon.
It still has-
bubblegum.
Yeah, it still has that pistachio note for me on the nose too.
A little bit of blue whale on the palate. If you catch my
Absolutely.
drift.
Mm-hmm.
So this bottle, there are 2 bottles available of it. We're not going to put it live on the website. We're going to do it as a lottery. Price on this guy, for those of you that are truly interested in it, price on the 19.83 is $304.99 if you're looking for one of those 2 bottles. Email me. I work at 9:30 tomorrow, so when I get in, if you put a request in for it, I'll take a look at those requests and then disappoint all of you but 2 in selecting who gets to purchase the bottle.
It's a great price too. That's fantastic.
Stunning.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
There's my email address if you need it. But yeah, this is holding up so nicely. I love seeing Glengarry at this age in this style.
Unsurprisingly, due to my ADD, I've already moved on to 1.2.8.3. And I'm shocked by like it's become so much fruitier now. It's really
yeah.
Cool.
intense.
Yeah, let's go back there.
And it has a hint of nail polish, which
For
I
me,
dig.
it's like a random handful of Jelly Bellies, which is one of my favorite notes to get on a whiskey. Like More so on the palate than the nose, but the nose is fun too, where you've got like too many different flavors to actually concentrate on any of them at once.
So growing up, there was like a convenience store candy shop next to San, and San used to have like the best deals on combo pack nail polish. So I would like sell the toys that I had, go to the candy store, buy candy, blue whales, Buzzy Peaches, jelly bean, and nail polish. And this tastes like when you're eating candy after painting your nails, but you haven't washed your hands yet, and you get a little bit of chemical on there, a little bit of oiliness. All you girls know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. There's probably some weird
Oh yeah.
like combo influencer YouTube channel where people are doing that combination now.
Absolutely.
If you could throw unboxing into that
TikTok.
somehow, it'd be so
Oh
hot.
yeah.
That's awesome. That takes me back.
That palette is really showing nicely. It's got this sort of like going into Lynchburg lemonade territory and Arnold Palmer territory. This combination of lemonade and iced tea on the palette right now.
Well,
Yeah, lemonade's a good note.
Yeah, we better hurry up so Andrew can get back to his Bowmore.
was like, can I talk about the Glen Grant yet? Because I've been nosing it for like a minute now.
Go for it.
Well, interestingly, like it had, and I don't think this is the whiskey that it was referenced for earlier, but it's got kind of like a Tootsie Roll like note to it. And then I just think this is like, again, very naked, very distillate driven, some nice cheesy tones to it. It's decadent, it's fruity. I mean, it sort of surprises me that because Glen Grant's got a relatively short fermentation time, like, so that can't be it. It does make me wonder, like, what is making this? And there's a lot of people that love Glen Grant, and it's been relatively consistent in terms of how it makes whiskey since the 1970s. So there's nothing kind of really old school about it, but what is it that people really geek out about? Because this is kind of a very fun distillate. Maybe it's the spirit purifier. Maybe there's some element in that extra copper contact. I don't know. But
It's almost like they have the whiskey version of a dunder pile, like right next to their warehouses or something like that.
Or maybe they're like Kleinlich and they have the equivalent of gunk in the trunk that they don't know about. They just haven't screwed it up yet. So it's just still working.
Yeah.
I like that. Glen Grant's got gunk in the trunk. Yeah.
That's
So
not
is
the
that
technical
Faint's
term,
holding
by the way,
tank?
but
Yeah.
it's the better, more fun way of talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's magical how that like apple pie, like continues on and sticks around with the punkiness there.
I would say some rhubarb snuck into that apple pie somewhere
Oh, good
down the
call.
road. On the
Yeah, I can
nose,
see that.
yeah. But this 8.43 still has that Tootsie Roll note for me.
Sounds
It's
good. Back to
itchy
the
band
8.43.
noodles now to me. Like it's
Itchy band
Oh,
noodles.
totally.
Oh, that's a great note.
Yeah, it does even have like a soy sauce note on the nose there right now.
but it's like itchy band before you add the water. Like
It's opening the packet. It's opening.
yeah,
the
I
cigarette
just used
packet. Yeah.
in university, I never understood why people actually bothered. It was much more fun to just eat it raw than it was to actually make it and turn it into a liquid. It was a fun snack.
I thought so as a child, and then I tried it as an adult, and I was like, I don't like this. Why did I do this?
Big old package of salt.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they took out the MSG on the packs I had as an adult, and that's why I didn't like it.
That's right.
I
Makes
think
it
I'm
good.
bucking the trend on this, but this one is not my favorite. So I don't know. I find it's kind of 1D. I'm surprised by how like soft it is for its age at cast strength, but yeah. Not loving it.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
So,
What do you think
On
of
to
the
the,
next
uh,
one?
yeah.
I'm already onto it, Harmony. I'm already nosing it.
Whoa, slow down.
There's a slight touch of like heavily friction pencil eraser
I
on
was
the nose
just
on the
thinking
Bowmore.
that.
Yeah.
It's all like the pink eraser off the back of your
Yeah.
pencil.
You're still
you
talking
rubbed it
about
a
the
little
Tambu,
too.
right?
No, this is the Bowmore.
No, this is a
Bowmore.
Bowmore.
This is you've tried to erase the entire page with that nub of eraser on the back of the pencil.
Yeah, and you might have like metallically scratched your paper because
Yeah.
you're almost out of eraser.
Yeah. There's even a bit of that graphite from the pencil in there.
I went to take a sip, but I saved some for my friend who I shouldn't have saved it for. Okay.
The friend who you said sucks. You suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, he's definitely sucks.
Drink it, Harmony.
Wow.
I know, I'm still a
Nothing
very
gets out
nice
of it.
person. But the empty glass smells fantastic. Mm.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think-
want to say this is terrible just because Andrew likes it so much, but it is pretty damn good.
Yeah, reluctantly agree.
I mean, there's a certain pride in knowing one is correct about their instincts on things. So
I mean, but nobody said that directly. I'm just
they,
kidding.
No.
they didn't have to. They didn't.
I was
have to.
agreeing with Evan,
Yeah,
just to be clear.
that's right.
Oh man.
Fantastic.
And like, I mean, those lavender tones are still there, and like this is
Yep.
past the point where they were like soaping the wash. So it asked the question, like, you know, where is that coming from? Because it's like it's a note in Bowmore that is still there.
Yeah.
I love that it's still there. I love that it's one of those little things that no one's 100% confident about. Because it's awesome. So
Is there cilantro on that? Am I crazy? Something about the droplet that was in that bottle reminded me of some sort of side dish or dip or something. And then my mind went Mexican and then it went possibly cilantro.
Well, what is it? What is it that it's a certain percentage of the population tastes cilantro as being soapy, if I remember correctly.
I mean, I think even if there's too much cilantro, like at a certain point, it becomes something. I don't know that it becomes soapy. It just
Yeah, to me, it just becomes like the worst combination of pine and juniper possible.
it's just overpowering is what it is if there's too much of it. I mean, it's
Mhm.
Dakota's like, give me cilantro.
Yeah, it's kind of like the cilantro is like truffle oil, where you need
Oh.
just a drop, but if you have 2 drops, then the whole room smells it.
Yeah. I also struggle with truffle oil. All right, what's the nuts and belts and engine oil? How's that holding up? I imagine Andrew drank all his
Oh.
golden by now.
Oh yeah.
I got a little bit left. It's very good for an Ardmore. But I think it wants to be Bowmore and it just knows it can't. So
I don't think it does. I
but
think
it's
the
okay, but it's
Bowmore-
okay with that. It's okay with that. It's confident in itself.
It's being all it can be, Andrew.
This is a cast that was somehow lost in the shuffle of dumping everything into Teacher's Highland Cream, and is all the better for it.
Thank goodness.
Yep. Yeah, that chalkiness mixed with that like still fresh at 25 years old barley note and the sweetness that comes along with it is fantastic.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
This is great.
Oh,
It's the sweetness I'm really getting now. It's been open for a while.
Oh,
I put
yeah.
a
Yep.
couple drops of water in it. There's
but
cherry notes in here for me. It's less mechanical. I mean, the name of it, nuts and belts and engine oil, there was sort of a mechanical thing going on at the start for me, but that's just blown off.
I think I know what that thing was, Kelly. It's a horse-drawn thresher from the 20s that's in the stable. It's a little damp in there. 'Cause
Right, yeah.
it's starting to get just a touch barnyardy. Just a
I
touch.
like it.
Yeah,
See,
But
that's a
it's-
good note for me on a whiskey barnyard.
but it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good note for me as well.
That's a good Campbellton, Glen Scotia note, barnyard,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
and-
There's a reason
And
I
in
like
this
the
case, the
9.3s.
horses don't smell or taste like they've been ridden hard and put away wet in a dirty stable.
I've already moved on to the 4. So
I want to go horseback for me.
oh God, the last little sip of that Ardmore, it was like putting an Altoid in my mouth, like a traditional mint Altoid.
Like one that's been in a box for
In like that's been in a
years.
barn that a horse sat on.
Yeah.
You bought him from a horse?
yeah.
I'll say horses, man.
Yeah, Altoids are like the fisherman's friends of mints. It's the nuclear option when it comes to freshening your breath.
I love Altoids.
I love this, whatever this bubblegum deliciousness is.
It's Highland Park.
Well, thank you, Andrew. I love it.
For
Yeah, we've had
age to quality ratio, this is the winner for sure. I'm not sure it's top 3. It might be number 3, but it's age to quality and price. It's awesome. So buttery on the nose.
Mhm.
this is I've talked about this before, but this is one of those statistic whiskeys where you look at the numbers and it's just like this should not even be drinkable. Like young, crazy high alcohol, it's seen 2 casks, like they were trying to make up for some failure in the distillate, and it's so good.
But
Yeah.
Evan, again, I think that's not what happened. I think that was
Mhm.
this is again
Yep.
a batch product that was sold in bulk that then the society had to put back into casks. Because they didn't want it to be like I'm sure Highland Park sold this and didn't want it to be like a true single cask
Yeah.
when they did that. Which kind of makes me wonder, like, is this from the same parcel with things like Viking toothpaste potentially?
Possibly, yeah. I would need to go back
Yeah.
and check all the dates, but we've had a whole string of these Highland Parks, small batch Highland Parks.
Yeah.
It's very likely that they're all part of the same parcel. When I think about this, we've had these 3 cases, these 18 bottles have been sitting in the warehouse in Connect forever. I'm sure when you guys pulled a case in, the bottles were dusty. I don't know why we've never gotten around to dealing with them, so now I'm really glad that we finally dealt with it.
No,
Let them loose into the wild, because damn.
That's right.
we pulled this in on the name alone. It was just a fun name, frankly.
Yeah.
Is there a story behind the name at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is it an anagram? It's very interesting.
It sounded like they were trying to like talk about like crazy weather patterns or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And give a hint that it's a Highland Park.
Right.
God, that's good.
Because
Holy
it
cow.
doesn't, I don't think the Vikings use these type of call signs. I could be wrong.
Well, we'll never know. They're all gone.
Yeah, we never know. You
Aren't
don't
you
know
like
what
half
they were
Viking?
saying over the radio
Close.
waves 800 years ago.
Well,
Nobody
I
knows.
mean, it's very hard to communicate runes, like essentially
right.
just lines. Or maybe it's not. Actually, it might be very easy to communicate lines, but it's the slant that I
Yeah.
think would be hard to communicate over an airwave.
Yeah, the fact that most of those lines were vertical instead of horizontal made it really difficult to translate to Morse code.
And as it turns out, most of them were about women's breasts. Historical fact. I mean,
Great
I was
things.
here and
Yeah.
so-and-so's breasts were fantastic. I
Yeah.
believe that's the story of most of the Viking cairns in the Orkneys.
Yeah.
The ones they translated.
Some things never change, I guess.
Well, not actually, and they weren't the Viking cairns. They were the cairns the Vikings raided for treasure and then left graffiti inside talking about Bertha or whomever. So
I was
Sounds
wondering until now why Andrew does like one of these society tastings a year. It all makes sense
Yeah,
now.
that's
Now
right.
you know.
well, this is the
picked them out,
40th
that's why.
anniversary one. I got to come out for this one.
That's right.
Oh, you're fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Andrew, what were the Vikings doing on your birthday 800 years ago?
Well,
They were
roughly
writing for a good time call on or their
roughly
equivalent of-
1100 years
yeah.
ago, they went past the island of Jura and thought the mountains looked like breasts, and that's why they're called the Alps to this day. Fun
Well, I
fact.
mean, anybody on a boat for long enough can see
Yeah.
things in the mountains.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we gotta. I'm not gonna do it, but someone can take a clip of what Andrew just said when this hits YouTube and put the more you know star coming up right after that.
I fully endorse that. I fully
Please
endorse
tag
that. I'm
us.
okay with it.
Yeah. This is the best speed round. That's not speedy.
Yeah, the best speed rounds take longer than the original.
Well,
the
you
first
learn
round.
about history, and you just can't
Yeah.
rush these sorts of
Well, you learn
historical
about history, but you're like, that sounds interesting, but is it true?
Yeah.
So back to the whiskey again. I'm the one who's got to drag us all out of the rabbit holes for some reason.
Well, you took us in there, so
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna say that didn't happen. Clearly,
you're a
it did.
tour guide now at this point. Yeah.
Chris.
This Kalila,
Yeah. Chris, what children have you been doing whiskey tastings with before this?
And Chris just broke the tasting.
yeah,
That's right.
I'm sure the Vikings would be very distraught about that.
Oh God.
Back to the Kalila.
God bless Chris.
It's, you know what, Chris has a fairly low batting average, but occasionally, like the bases are lined up and he just knocks it out of the park. So it's the law of averages. He's a what do they call that? A grand slam? Is that what that is, or what's a home run when
Home
the
run.
bases are loaded?
Oh,
I'm not a
God.
baseball.
That's a
guy.
grand slam.
That's good. It's a
Yeah.
grand slam.
Yeah, unless you're at Denny's, then it's a breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy that people are like, does he even practice? But occasionally just crushes it. And that's all he's got to do.
Yeah.
Back to the Kalila. I didn't find it very Kalila-esque the first time around, but it's more into that. For me, it's that classic bacon wrapped scallop, this time with a bit of a balsamic reduction to it.
Balsamic is a good call. I agree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah, almost going into like fish and chips with malt vinegar.
Oh
Notes.
yeah. Yeah, the malt vinegar is a good note. It still shows for me that like zesty kind of like pithy lemon as well in there. I always get lemon and bacon off Kalila, always.
Yeah, Kalila is typically very citrusy. I think
Mhm.
sherry hides that element on it, but
It's still there.
to me, it's bacon, seafood, or bacon wrapped seafood. Those are the three styles of Kalila.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lot of the Kalilas that we got from the SMWS for a while were first fill expert, if I remember correctly, and they always have this salty lime margarita note on this one. This is like an Isla whiskey margarita, which is essentially like Kalila eating its tail at that point. The weird Ouroboros going on.
I pictured the most rancid drink is like a margarita with like an oyster on the side.
Yeah, they tried to garnish it like a Caesar, where it's just like you take
They're like, whoa,
everything
wait,
and
what?
the kitchen sink and toss it in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a Kalila Mark sounds great, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a mezcal margarita, which, like,
Also
spoiler
great.
alert, is better than the original margarita. So
Which
you
is
add that
usually how
element
I
of
drink.
smoke into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Since I quit smoking, that's how all my margaritas are. They're always mezcal.
Yeah.
What a great
was,
lineup.
Yeah, that was a fantastic lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Brian Kelly.
Well,
thank
I mean,
you.
I think, I mean, we owe thanks to KWM for holding these back and hosting a couple of tastings, the in-person one and the virtual one. Because, you know, you don't have anything to sell, but you just love sharing. So thank you very much. That's really kind.
Well, in a way, we're kind of selfish, Rob.
Well,
We
I know
could've
that,
told
but I was
you.
trying to be nice, Andrew.
But we
Yeah.
wanted to know what they tasted like. So
Yeah.
we enroll others to help us find out what they taste like.
Yeah,
We
so did
wanted
we,
to-
because
we
we
wanted
never
to
got a
know-
chance to try them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, never would
We
have had a
wanted to know
chance
what
to
they
try them
tasted
either,
like.
so thank you.
Yeah. We wanted to know what they tasted like, and more importantly, we wanted other people to pay for us to know what they tasted like. So thank you all for joining in with us and making our dreams come true.
I'm assuming, Kelly, Rob, you probably haven't seen Jeff's comment. I'm assuming that's a
I've just read it.
I'm not
I'm not
saying I want that, but I mean, I'm not saying I don't. So
Do you think they'd sell? Jeff, are you prepared to buy all of them? Oh,
Oh my God.
Thumbs
He
up.
I
would.
think we know that if the likeness of me is made in jest
Mhm.
and borderline good taste, then people don't mind.
Yeah.
You know,
What would an
Andrew's-
Andrew
and-
Bottles tasting note
it's,
even
I can
taste?
tell you what it would be. It would be the first bottle that actually says what it is, so nobody can blind it, where it just says it's a Bowmore as the name. Yeah.
That's so funny.
how about instead of a tasting note, there's a rant about something tangentially related that I just wrap around to some
That's
degree of
right.
relativity at the very end.
Yeah, the tasting notes go on this weird tangent about smoking jackets and making cereal with peat and
And
I
so I
looked up
have to have at
smoking
least one
jackets.
cigarette if I'm in France.
Yeah.
That's right.
I looked up smoking jackets, Andrew. We have options from $40 to $600.
I
All
don't
of them,
think
I think,
we're in the
are wonderful.
$40 range, but
I thought you might.
but
And because I know you wanted the robe look,
I
priced
want
those
the
out.
like I want the Five Timers Club SNL kind of aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Where
Okay,
I've landed.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
Jeff,
I
I'm
was
on it.
yeah, T-shirt Mule has $14 T-shirts right now. I was thinking of getting a T-shirt made up that says this is a placeholder for the future KWM smoking jacket.
That's right.
And just putting our logo on it.
Are we gonna share our favorites? Like I you know,
Andrew,
Yeah,
how do
you can only vote for a bottle once though, Andrew. Just so you know. You wanna start
I
us off?
have a couple of different favorites in this lineup. I'll have you know. But
Jeff, just to go to your comment about the first Celebrity Society bottling, I will remind everybody that Evan Eckersley over there wrote the tasting note for one of our global gathering a few years ago, Late Night Pantry Raid. And he was given credit for that. So his picture wasn't on the label. We've only done that once when a
it
member
should
won a
have been. It was
contest.
a grievous crime that his photo was not on the label.
It was, but
Yeah.
it was his tasting note, and that went out around Canada as part of our Outturn. So, you know, there's been a brush with celebrity at KWM, with the society,
Well,
for
they,
sure.
like slightly more of a celebrity than I am. The SMWS America had a few different bottles named by Doogie Howser years ago. He is a Scotch Malt Whisky Society member apparently, and he had a name that was possibly better than mine, if I remember correctly, which was it was Three Middle Fingers of Whiskey, I think was the name of the bottle.
Awesome.
Was it an Ardmore?
It must
might
have been
actually.
It must have been. And it sounds like it must have been a young one too.
Yeah.
I still think, and again, going full circle on the Bowmore here, I still think the best society name of all time, because it was both funny but also very apt in its description, was Baby-Faced Arsonist. I do not
that's
think
your favorite.
society has come up with a better whiskey name before or since. So,
Well, we tell this story at our tastings that we do for people that don't come every month, that we don't see all the time. We're doing special events or whatnot, about the history of bottle names. And there was one, it never came to Canada. I think it predated the Canadian branch. Yeah. But they had an empty bottle of it in a glass case in the lobby, in the foyer of their head office for years in Scotland. And it was called skunk, roadkill, and whiskey flavored condoms.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, Andrew, it was an Ardmore.
That doesn't shock me at all. I mean,
Yeah, that
if
could
you
be
were to
legit.
say, Andrew, which distillery did that whiskey come from? I'd be like, top of the list, Ardmore. Second, Tobermory.
Third would be Glen Scotia, but I think it was an Ardmore. So yeah, skunk, roadkill, and whiskey flavored condoms,
That's
which
so
just
concerning.
brought up all kinds of questions about how
Yeah.
one would know that. But anyway.
I know how one would know that, at least the skunk part, because my father strapped a dead skunk he found on the side of the highway to the back of our New Yorker to try to prove to his friend that he wasn't the only one who could find a taxidermy for roadkill. And we drove into the city on like the first hot day after weeks of winter, just like this past week, with a dead skunk and got stuck in Deerfoot construction, and we're like hiding our heads in the back seat because we were so embarrassed. It was so rank. And then we got home and Dad's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, and just chucked it in our alley. And for a month, the city workers would not take it. So he wrapped it up. I think he wrapped it with like a note and cash. It was like, please take this skunk away.
Nice.
Needless to say, he lost the bet. He could not get it. No taxidermist would take a roadkill skunk.
Shocking.
Nice.
I
It was
literally have
awful.
nothing to say in response to
It's
that.
awful.
No,
That's, I was gonna say that's like usually animals stop traveling after roadkill. So there is still a way to do it, I guess.
Oh yeah, you can get from Red Deer to Calgary on the back of a
That's
New
right.
Yorker.
There was, though, it has to be added, and I know we've gone way off piste here.
So we're done.
There was an incredible Kids in the Hall skit about this very thing involving Bruce McCullough and a moped.
Nice.
I don't know if you can look it up, but it's worth looking up. Classic Bruce McCullough. Do we get
So I
to
think it's a
do
debate
our
between your Highland
favorites?
Park and your Bowmore, is what I'm sensing.
No, actually, I'm gonna go Bowmore, Glen Grant, Highland Park. And
Oh, I just meant overall, from what I've seen people type in.
okay, yeah, I
Oh
thought
no, see, I've
But, like,
seen a lot of
I want
the.
to know. I want to know, Robin Kelly. I want to know what your favorites are.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, you're okay. We'll give you a moment to think about this. Evan, what are your
Yeah.
3 favorites?
I am going to say I'm gonna pick one favorite from, or 2 favorites from the ones that can't be bought, and then one from the ones that can.
Oh,
My 2
Evan, I
favorites
just want your
from
3 favorites. I don't need justifications. I just want your 3 favorites.
my first favorite is the 19.8.3. I really like that Glengarry. It's
Respect that one.
fantastic. My favorite of the 1983 series at the in-person tasting was the Tamdu. I am changing it in this one to the Glenfarclas. I really like the juiciness that came through on the second round on that guy.
Is that the
And then
9?
third
Number 1.
is the Nuts and Belts and Engine.
Go on.
I really like that Ardmore.
Yeah.
Evan, I think that was also like a middle finger to me, but I respect it. It was like
Yep.
so contrarian. I love that there's different
Yep.
there's different perspectives. Harmony, your 3 favorites,
Uh,
and you don't need to overthink it like Evan and have like your pre and middle and
Well, I don't know
and
what's for
favorites.
sale or not.
Yeah.
I want all of these. So if I
Great
had to
range.
pick favorites, I agree the 19.83 was awesome. And then I'm kind of tied for different reasons between the 9.274 and then the 4.320. The Highland Park was
Very nice.
fantastic. So but I enjoyed them all, and
Mhm.
a little flashback PTSD on the Shades of Flowers, but I still enjoyed it.
Okay. Kelly and Rob, have you had enough time?
Well,
Make
we're
a
actually
decision.
not one person, so
So for me,
yeah.
yep, so I love the Highland Park. That sits at number 1 for me. And then the 19.83 Glengarry,
Nice.
and then the 9.274 Glen Grant.
We both picked, just to point this out, the Tamdu in the in-store tasting
Last
as
night, yeah.
as number one. But yeah, it's a different night, and so things have changed. Love the Bowmore, love the Grand Grant, and then I have to go with Ardmore because I'm a big fan of that, just sort of the funky, weird style of those Ardmores and Glen Scotias and so on.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Rob, you cut out there for a second. Can you tell us those three one more time?
The Bowmore, the Glen Grant, and the Ardmore. And the
Nice.
Ardmore because it suits me. I'm wild and untamed.
I respect both of
The
you.
horse in the barn? What?
Yeah. Oh, well.
I-
Yeah, well, that too.
I have a theory though. Was the
I'm a
in-store
free
tasting
horse,
on a
wild
Wednesday
horse.
night?
Yes.
You know why that Tamdu was number one? It's because we don't mop or vacuum the store on Tuesday nights because the order's coming in. So the store was extra dirty, and that's why the Tamdu showed so well on a Wednesday night.
Oh. Okay.
Facts. They're indisputable.
Science.
You can't
Science.
dispute those facts.
Can't argue
He's
with
such a
science.
salesman, hey? Like, he's such a-
I've never seen somebody so bitter about Ardmore or Bowmore not getting all the votes.
right?
And
It's really
Got
funny
Rob's.
too.
We
Is
got Rob's votes. I'll
what's
take it.
interesting is he's a business owner and he has products to sell, but don't vote for that product.
Yeah.
Vote for the other one.
No, we're just having fun here. That's
Oh,
what
for
it
sure.
really comes
That's
down
right.
to.
It is
So-
fun.
But I mean,
I'm enjoying it.
for those who might have been on last night's McAllen 200th anniversary tasting, which was very classy, we put on jackets and ties, and
Jackets?
shorts.
Wait, tie.
Yeah.
I wore lace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We took them off for the speed round because it was getting a little stuffy.
I
Kind of like if you go to a distillery to visit it and the security guard's sitting in a Bentley for some reason, but you can't get in because you didn't pay 50 pounds. But as people know, like, I mean, all of this is supposed to be fun. And I think some of it gets taken way too seriously. And I think some of it got out of hand in the last 3 to 4 to 5 years. And I mean, it's nice to see things like a 9-year-old Highland Park show as well as it doesn't. Even though I didn't like it, it's nice to see that so many people loved a 7-year-old Tamdu. And hopefully that'll provide the basis for regrounding an industry that got carried away with marketing and increased profits every single year. That is not, well, that's not going to keep going in the direction they all hoped it would. So, anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, mini rant. It happens. They happen from time to time.
That's right. Well, I think we should probably cut it there. Thank you all for joining us. And as always, thank you all for putting up with us.
Especially
We
me.
love doing. Okay. That's I don't think we need to single you out anymore.
No, but I mean, I'm the most likely to take a sharp, pointy stick and poke it at something. So
Now that Hunter doesn't work with us, that's probably true.
yeah, but some of his sharp, pointy sticks, you weren't sure what direction he was waving it in.
Yeah, that direction was very obfuscated sometimes. That's for sure. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining in with us and trying with 4.5 drams that you could never buy, and enjoying it along with us. It was a fantastic lineup. Thank you to Robin Kelly for bringing these in and acquiescing when we had a weird idea about holding some back so that we could taste them all together. It's really nice to do a SMWS Outturn, semi-Outturn in a little bit of a different way. So it was a fun event.
And congratulations to 40+ years to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Not even Kensington Wine Market has reached that esteemed number of years yet. So it's quite an accomplishment.
I suspect you're planning for it, though. I can only imagine what you're thinking for your 40th.
Oh, God.
I don't know, but I mean, the 35th is coming up, and
Exactly.
That's right.
we're gonna market the shit out of that before we get to the 30th. So.
Well, have fun, you guys, at the March tastings. We're on a flight back to Scotland tomorrow, so we won't be around for
Yep.
March and April probably. But yeah,
Enjoy
in
the
spring.
Glenlivet 12 on the plane.
And no,
right.
I think not.
Yeah, no, well,
Okay.
Kelly, Rob, thank you. Evan, Harmony, thank you. Everybody else, thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have a good night.
Thanks,
Great night,
everybody.
everybody.